I want to know the root cause of this eczema. I want to nail it and I want to see the back end of it because I'm so tired of it, trying the same thing over and not getting a different result. So I just had to try something different. I needed the confidence to actually go off the Dupixent. And with the program, I think that's where the confidence came, is knowing we're working towards something.
We're going to chat about Marjorie's eczema healing journey and take you through some of the things that she's tried and some big moments in her journey that I'm sure a lot of you listening will resonate with, because there's so many commonalities with eczema. So firstly, thank you for sharing your journey. Also, just want to note, you might not be exactly where you want to be, but to come on and I just have a real conversation. There's a lot of vulnerability because the healing journey, it's continuous. So to get started, I always like to just rewind and talk about your journey.
Yeah, so since I can remember, really, I've had eczema as a young child. I always remember my dad creaming me with cream, obviously topical steroid, and flare up would come, and then we would go to the doctor again, the same repeated pattern. And then in 2004, I decided to go cold turkey. I wanted to start using beauty products and no cortisone anymore for me, kind of thing. And then obviously I didn't even know that it was TSW at that time. And that was in 2004. I just, oh my goodness, what is this? I'm never using cortisone again. Look what it's done to me. And I had eczema everywhere. Like where I never used to have eczema, I had eczema everywhere. It was in my ears, on my feet. It was all over. It was just so terrible. I mean, I remember like mornings waking up and the pillowcase would be stuck to my face because it was so raw, and my ears would split as my ears and my eyes would split open from just waking up. It was just so swollen and infected and just terrible. And then obviously we tried the homeopathic route and elimination diets. And then eventually the skin, healed as it does. And then the journey, like, just on and off, trying new things, trying new creams without any topical steroid or anything like that. And then just before COVID, I had a thyroid test done, and the doctor told me it's an underactive thyroid, put me on meds, and my skin just completely went haywire. Like my eczema just flared up, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And then I just chucked that medicine away. I was like, no ways, I'm not having that. Because, like and I think you can relate as well, my body speaks to me very quickly. So I know when something's not working for me. And so then I just like, okay, no, something needs to change, or okay, no, I know that's not working for me. So I listen to my body. So I know my body so well. And so I just chucked that medicine. I actually never went back to the doctor. And I just like, that's when I actually started my Dupixent journey. I actually went to the dermatologist because my husband was just enduring with me. And then eventually I said to him, I need help. And he's like, oh my goodness, we just find a dermatologist. I've got a very supportive husband. And he was just like, okay, let's find you a doctor. And this doctor was amazing, really. I was so thankful for him. He introduced me to Dupixent, and it was a life changer. I mean, it really was. We could go camping. For the first time, I actually felt the heat here in the UAE, and here in Abu Dhabi, it's super hot. And for the first time, I felt the heat. I was like, oh my goodness, like I never felt this heat before because I'm always cold, how it goes. And so it was so nice to actually experience summer for what it really was in a way. And then I went on so I was on Dupixent for 2 years, and then I went on another JAK inhibitor for 6 months. And I actually didn't get my medicine in time before we went to the UK for a holiday. And so the dermatologist, this is now a new dermatologist, because that very nice dermatologist left. And so the other dermatologist put me on cortisone. She said that will carry me while we're in the UK because I don't have my JAK inhibitor. And that, I think that was just the biggest mistake ever, because even while we were in the UK, my skin wasn't happy. And then when we got back, it just, nothing worked. Even when I went back on the JAK inhibitor, it worked, but it wasn't sufficient enough to actually just annihilate the eczema completely, to bring it under control. And so then I said to my husband, let's go on a detox to get just rid of all this cortisone in my body. And obviously we gained weight on the holiday. And that's when my skin just flared up even more, because you explaining your program about the detox and the liver. And now it all makes sense now. But I mean, at that point, I was like, yeah, this detox going to sort us out. And my husband's skin was amazing. Like he was glowing. He was just like soaring on this detox, and I was suffering. On day 6, I'm like, I have to pull the plug. I am not doing well. I started oozing, crusting. oh, it was so painful. And I was like, oh, no, I need to stop this. And then obviously that's when my journey started researching what can I do to just, because, the JAK inhibitor wasn't working anymore. And I was like, I need help. I need some kind of solution here. And that's basically the one day I was sitting on the couch and I was just scrolling through YouTube and whatever. And I think, because you enter eczema and whatever, it already had that algorithm in the system. And then one of your recordings came up, and it was a lady that actually spoke about being on Dupixent and how she came off it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is answer to prayer, because this is what I've been looking for, is like, how do you get off the medication gradually and then resetting your body basically. And the next day, I think it was Ella that contacted me, and we had such a conversation. I'm like, I have to be on this program. And so when I spoke to my husband, he's like, let's do this. I said to him, like, these are the things, the tools I actually never tried before, like the breathing and the mindset. I've always tried to do the elimination diet and stuff like that. And I really tried everything besides what you guys offer on the program. And I think that's just been the game changer. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. TSW, if you don't know about it, it's topical steroid withdrawal. Not everybody gets it. It depends on the strength of steroids you're using, the length of time, where you've applied it, but it's horrendous. So there has to be more awareness around how to use steroids safely. And there is finally, the NHS in the UK have finally provided guidelines on how to safely use it. So I think there's going to be more of that. But yeah, it's such a common story. And I'm so glad that you saw, I think it was Laura's video when she was talking about coming off Dupixent, because that mental and emotional piece is the hardest part. And you just need to be able to go out in public, move your body. So it's so stiff and oozing. And then that next phase is, okay, how can I understand what's causing that inflammation that the Dupixent is blocking? The inflammatory cytokines that blocking. Really happy that you found the program. And what was it like before you were on the Dupixent journey?
Yeah, like, I mean, some days it would be so dry. Some days it would just be like patchy. Like I could see, oh, maybe I shouldn't have had that slice of cake last night, or my body's just like reacts so quickly. And sometimes it was so strange. Like I would have like maybe a slice of toast or something and I'd be fine. And then all of a sudden I would have another slice of toast and then all of a sudden there's like a flare up, you know what I mean? And then I would sit with the flare up again. So also I noticed that the flare ups would be longer in some stages, or sometimes it would be a quick flare up. It just depends. Sometimes you just never know with the skin what was the actual trigger. But now understanding the program and the inflammation bucket, I mean, it just makes so much more sense.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea. First, what's causing inflammation? And at the beginning, you're not going to know, but we know in the background, it's an accumulation of different things. It's stress, can be food, which is actually tied to inability to break it down, and your gut, can be hormone imbalances like you're experiencing with your thyroid, can be metals or hidden infections, which we address later on. And there's all these different things, and all those drops in the bucket. Eventually, it overflows. And if you've had it since you were a baby as well, there's likely to be some sort of imbalance in your microbiome and a disrupted immune function there. So it's something that your body's just been dealing with for a long time. So the body just gets exhausted and it loses resiliency. And that's when you just see it coming out through your skin and then snowballing into other conditions as well, which is, we always say it's never just eczema. There's always a myriad of other things going on. And that's what's frustrating. What's going on? I just don't feel right. All these things are popping up. What is it? Which feels like a lot and it feels heavy. But when you can zoom out and look at that body as a whole, and you're like, so what was your motivation for coming off Dupixent?
I think the support of the program, just knowing that we working towards something. Do you get what I'm saying? My whole goal was when I started the program is I want to know the root cause of this eczema. I want to nail it and I want to see the back end of it because I'm so tired of it. You know what I mean? Trying the same thing over and not getting a different result. I mean, it's just not going to get the different result if you try the same thing. So I just had to try something different. You know what I mean? I needed the confidence to actually go off the Dupixent. And with the program, I think that's when the confidence came, is knowing we're working towards something. And I just think also, like when I started doing research, because the dermatologist wanted to put me on another JAK inhibitor, Because he just said, because I was on Dupixent before, I might have built up antibodies, so it might not be as effective. So I was like, okay, cool. And then he started saying, there's another JAK inhibitor, which will, like in two to 3 days, I will look normal again. I will just look like I've never had eczema. And so it was super tempting. But I was waiting for the financial approval of the medical insurance. And so while in that time, I started doing research on it. And I was just like, oh my goodness, no way. Everything that we're working towards on the program, sealing the gut line, building up the immunity, all of that, it's going to just contradict it. It's going to just deplete all of that, like perforated gut line, shingles, all of those things. And I'm like, I don't know because I've had shingles before, and I'm like, there's no way I can do that again. That is just so painful. And I've got a very high pain threshold. So I need things until it's almost too bad. And then I see to myself, which is not a good thing. So I don't know if that's an eczema warrior trait or is characteristic. I don't know, but I don't know. I just tend to just endure through things. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have just gone to the doctor long ago. But yeah, when I saw all the side effects, I was like, there's just no way. I would not feel comfortable swallowing that tablet knowing what it's going to do to me in the long term and what I'm really working towards now on the program. So that was really the deciding factor to just actually go off it. And I'm so glad I did, you know what I mean? It hasn't been easy. I mean, it's so tempting to okay, yeah, I think today I would just love that tablet. But also with the tools and everything, it's just been a journey. And I know Mandy always reminds us in the mindset calls just to just be grateful for the flare-ups because you learn through them and just to trust the process. I really do. I really I'm also a woman of great faith. So I really trust God just through this journey to just carry me through and I just feel this program has been an answer to prayer because I've been just praying for the root cause. I want the root cause to be dealt with. Yeah. Because once you deal with the root, I mean, everything else will change for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you've been off Dupixent for how long now? Been a few months.
So with Dupixent, it's been more than a year, but the JAK inhibitor, it's actually been, since I've been any pharmaceuticals, should I say, it's been 11 weeks now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they become a safety blanket. So, and like you said, it's so tempting to just go back. And again, when you go to doctors and dermatologists, that's their tool that they use. But there's so many other things that we can address, supporting the different body systems and different tools and resources that we can use. And yeah, it is really about understanding, okay, what is my body saying? And it's great that you're saying that you can understand what's going on. So then we can start looking at, okay, what symptoms are we experiencing? And then look at your blood work. Okay, what do we need to address there? Because it's all connected. Looking at your lifestyle, like how your day-to-day life affects your skin and how the thoughts in your head, how your relationships with other people. And that's when you're on the other side, that's the silver lining of eczema, is that you're going to get itchy when there's high emotion. Like we get that red flag right away. You start getting itchy when you might be on holidays and eating all the delicious food and drinking, doing all those things. You're like, oh, hang on, I'm pushing my body a little bit too much. Like I've hit my threshold. I just need to wind it back. And so it is nice when you get to that point where you have a little bit of flexibility. But that silver lining is that it's like, okay, we need to reel things in a little bit. So it's nice to be able to have gone through a process like this, to have that connection with your body and your mind.
In the beginning of the consultation, she was saying, just see your body as a house on fire. So the immune suppressants just put the blanket over, but the house is still burning. And that was really oh my word, that is so true. You know what I mean? There's still a problem. I'm just putting on the Band-Aid for how long until I just take it off and actually deal with it. You know what I mean? But what I loved about seeing my skin on Dupixent is that it's possible for my skin to actually look like that. You know what I mean? It's to have and to feel, oh my word, my skin can actually, it's got the potential. If we get to the root cause, it can actually be beautiful. You know what I mean? The dangling carrot is like, my skin can do this. I know it can. And so that's what I'm working towards, is just smooth, clear skin. But I know it's a process, but it's really been liberating just to know the knowledge that we've gained from the program and the tools that you use. Yeah, absolutely. Because I had a flare up actually last week, Friday, And so I had a coffee date with a friend, and my daughter said, "Mommy, I think you should cancel your date." I'm like, "No, I'm not canceling this date." And so I dropped her off at school, got home, and then just ice packs and breathing sessions, red light. And I was just like, "Girl, you need to work with me." And amazing, when I fetched her from school, she's like, "Oh my word, Mommy, you're looking so much better." And it's just amazing to see how quickly the body just actually calms down when you just actually use the tools. And so yeah, so it's really been amazing to see if you just use the tools and the pillars, it really works. And I think just that's the biggest takeaway for me, definitely.
I love that. And that's the whole aim. Like when you start your healing journey, you do get flare ups. And we're always completely transparent, but it's focusing on, okay, that red inflamed phase, is that shorter? And can I bounce back out of that quicker and quicker? And then just, I don't know if this has happened to you, but before, for me, when I get a flare up, you're like, oh, this again. And it feels like the end of the world. It feels so heavy. And then you start stressing out. I have plans. I'm supposed to be doing this. Do I have to cancel everything? And then that stress triggers your flare up even more. And then it's a big snowball effect. So when you can break that stress, anxiety, eczema cycle, and you have that confidence in yourself, and it is just about noticing and practicing, doing all of these different breathing exercises and having all these different tools, you get the confidence in your body. And you're like, oh, okay, if I have a flare up in the morning, I can do all these things and my skin will bounce back. Like my immune system's actually kicking in, and then wound healing process is happening quicker and quicker, which is just, that's like the biggest turning point for people. And that's, you're like, okay, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to, because we have quite a nice tight circle of friends here, they all understand my journey. You know what I mean? I think also some people don't understand eczema. Some people, especially if it's like all over and you're dealing with a hectic flare up, a lot of people just like, "Oh yeah, I've got eczema on my, like a patch on my shoulder." You know what I mean? I'm like, "No, you don't understand, lady." Like I sometimes can't even wear clothes on my whole body because my skin is just aggravated by anything I put on. So some days just walking naked in the house will just have to do because it's all I can tolerate. It's been a journey. You know what I mean? It has not been easy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And also I think like my husband and my daughter, I've got a son as well, but he's in South Africa, like also suffers like in a way. So especially like my husband, he's such a problem solver and he just wants to fix things. And so when he sees me battle like this, like they struggle as well. So it's not just me, it's the whole family that actually feels it too. It's got an impact on everyone. But I love just that we've got very supportive friends. And so I feel comfortable around them, even though I have a flare up. So yeah, it just makes the journey easier when people are just more compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic. So yeah, I think it's just the journey. And I think if you're just vulnerable with people as well, just actually saying, I don't have a good day, but let's go for it and see how I can do it. I mean, I remember we went on a hike not so long ago, and oh my goodness, like we've done this hike so many times when I was on Dupixent. Like we've done it so many times. We've had so many like fun laughing on this hike. And so obviously I'm now off any support, the pharmaceutical support, and we went on a hike and it was so hot and I started sweating and I started scratching in my neck and I was just like, itchy all over, and then the flies come and sit on you, and I was like, get out of here. Like just having such a moment of just like panic, like just that anxiety. I've actually never experienced something like that, like quite intense for me. And I was just like, I need to get out of this place. You know what I mean? And I started breathing, like just trying to use the breathing station, the tools and stuff. But my husband just switched on the car with the aircon, and then I just fell asleep in the car with the aircon while they were just still busy in the mountains and stuff. But that was quite like a significant moment for me just to realize I'm not where I want to be. So I should just take things slowly. When it comes to things like that, it's like, okay, I'm not there yet. So let's just take a few steps back. And so, yeah, so that's taking me back for a couple of days, obviously the flare up after that. But other than that, like it's the journey. Like Mandy always tells us, it's never linear. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, I'm just so thankful to be on this program.
Mm. Thanks for sharing that, because that's what somebody who has never had eczema, they don't realize, like they just think that it's rashes, but it does affect you physically, that discomfort and the pain and the constant itching and like the mental, emotional aspect as well. And I love that you named also that it does affect your family. And then your friends too, because they all care about you. And when they see you suffering like that, you like, and most men are just hardwired, okay, problem, solve it. So it's really hard for them not to be able to do anything. And then, yeah, there is that flow-on effect. So thanks for sharing that. I'm sure so many people can resonate with that part of it. And just there's not a lot of dialogue and people talking about eczema. So just being able to hear, oh, that's actually what I'm feeling too. And like you said before, the eczema personality, I always talk about it. And just from what I've observed after helping so many people, we're all carers. So we're always doing for others. A lot of people are in carer roles and like crisis workers, nurses, teachers, stay-at-home moms, just caring for others. And exactly like you said earlier, you always wait till the very end to address something with yourself. And because we're taking care of everybody else, doing other things, and then we don't prioritize ourselves. So really just want to honor that you're on the journey and you have been for the past 6 months plus and being consistent because it's not what most of us eczema warriors are used to. And like you said, it is a journey and there are highs and lows. And yeah, I really just want to like hover on the piece where you've just been consistent. And we can even talk about the beginning of the program. It was challenging because there's a lot going on. Typically people come in with like chronic flares and there's just, like I said, that high and low of emotions, your mental health and physical pain. So for anybody in that space, and maybe who's just starting the program or their healing journey, what words of wisdom would you have for them?
I always say it's beauty in every season. You know what I mean? Like there's even in the darkest, like in winter, some people don't like the winter because it's cold and it's dark in the mornings and quickly it turns dark in the evenings. But there's so much beauty in those winter days. The sun still shines. You know what I mean? There's still warmth. And we had the privilege of going to Georgia for a skiing trip and not so long ago. And it was just incredible to see another part of God's creation in the snow. And I took a photo of the just snow on the ground. And when you zoom in, you actually see the different snowflakes. And apparently there's like 35 different snowflake shapes. My daughter Googled that. And it was just, for me, it was like a glimmer of hope again. You know what I mean? Like even in the coldest and the darkest of times, there's still hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with my journey, I had to get better in December because I started the program in October and my son was getting married in December. So I was like, I have to get better. I really need to get better. So I think subconsciously I was like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it, but I need to get better. You know what I mean? And I wasn't getting better. I was actually still very ill at his wedding. And I'm just so thankful that I could have been there. You know what I mean? The fact that I was there and I could make it was just absolutely by the grace of God. But seeing myself now, having just not stressed about a timeline to get better, I
Yeah.
think has made a huge difference. You know what I mean? I think it would have changed everything if I started the program and not have a timeline to get better. I think that's the difference. If you pushing yourself to get better at a certain time and date, you're just putting yourself under so much tremendous pressure. It's so unnecessary. But I needed to be at my son's wedding, so I didn't really have a choice to get better, even though I tried my best. But there were some days where I just couldn't function. It was just so debilitating. My hands were just so inflamed. Like you can't even close them because they're so stiff and it's just dry skin. I mean, I even remember at the wedding, I got my outfit, I think 2 days before the wedding because I couldn't go to the shops and try clothes on. My skin was just so inflamed and dry and just sore. And yeah, I just remember at the wedding, even it was so dry. Like when I pulled up the sleeves, it was just skin everywhere. And yeah, I cried so much after the wedding because I think it was just relief. Just so glad that it is over. I was so thankful to be at the wedding and it was absolutely beautiful. But just that relief of like, okay, it's done now. I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to put on a brave face anymore. This is it. I could just let go. And I just cried. I probably like the whole day because it was a sunrise wedding. And so obviously the wedding was ended like at 12 in the afternoon. And after that, I just sobbed and sobbed because I was just like, oh my word, I'm just so glad this is over. And since then, I've also, I think just from all the stress, I lost so much hair because I used to have like long blonde hair and my hair just started falling out in chunks. And I was like, oh my goodness, like now I've got to deal with my hair loss as well. And then one day I had a good day where I didn't have so much flare up or it wasn't too patchy. And I just said to my friend, okay, you just, because she's a stylist as well, and she just cut my hair. And I was like, okay, when life throws lemons at you, make lemonade. And this is my lemonade. So I just like rocking the short hair now. I'd love to be more blonde, but I mean, obviously I've got to wait for my scalp just to not be so sensitive. But yeah, it's just missing the blonde hair and just missing the beautiful clear skin days. But I'm just glad I'm working towards something where I know I'm going to see the light at the tunnel. I'm already seeing the light at the end of the tunnel anyway. So yeah, so I'm excited for this journey. And that's why I'm also just so grateful for the next 6 months. You know what I mean? To journey a little bit further, go a little bit deeper. I think also the big aha moment for me is the GI mapping, going really deeper and seeing what is going on in the gut. You know what I mean? Because we're always treating the skin. Everything's topically, but what is going on in the gut? And when Danielle came back after looking at my results, like just not having enough digestive enzymes to absorb and to digest my food, like something so, like just everyone just takes it for granted.
Yes.
That is just how it should be. You know what I mean? And I was just getting so excited because I was having more poos every day. You know what I mean? I just love it. So I get very excited about that when I have like 2 poos, maybe 3 a day. So I'm not scared to talk about poos. I just love it. I even tell my husband, I'm just like, oh yeah. I get so excited about it. So just something as simple as that. And also just working with those different gut bugs, the bacteria that shouldn't be there, or that's too much of. And that was just like, oh my word, no wonder I've been battling for so long. And I was just like, okay, so it's not just in my head. It's not just me. So since we've been like nailing these and targeting these gut bugs and stuff like that, I can see a difference. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I was. And I think that is just already so much, that's just so liberating for me. Like just knowing that we're working towards something. So yeah, so I just love this program. I really do. I love everyone in the program. I haven't even met everyone, but I just love everyone's just input. And yeah, it's just been amazing.
I love that. It is so nice to have that objective data. So we can look at symptoms and be in tune with what we're experiencing. But when you can start doing some of the lab tests and your blood work, with coming up with that. And I love looking at data and like tweaking things, right? If you can make some adjustments, getting tested again, oh, okay. Or doing a protocol, I feel so much different. And like for so many people, like it is an investment to do the testing, but for so many people who have been suffering for so long, like I was saying, if you've had it since you're a baby, like, the majority of us with eczema, we've had an imbalance in our microbiome. And then when you can get that data, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense, right? And then it, like you're saying, oh, okay, if you're eating all this food and you're not actually breaking it down, because we say you are what you eat, but hang on, no, you're what you break down and you absorb. So if you can't do that, or if you have leaky gut, you have gut bugs, then that's creating endotoxemia, so systemic inflammation. You're like, well, of course, that's why I have eczema.
Yeah.
Like, that totally makes sense. In addition to everything that we're exposed to, that stress, and you're like, oh yeah, like I get it. So it just helps you understand and have compassion that your body and your mind have been working really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband has always said, for someone that eats so many leaves and seeds, he cannot understand why I have eczema. But it's because I really try. I mean, even when we go out for a meal, I always try and have like vegetables, the healthier choices and the salads. I mean, obviously I do enjoy a burger and cake and stuff like that. But like if I look overall, I tend to eat healthier than normal people would just eat burgers or whatever. But when he said, like, for someone that just eats a lot of leaves and seeds, and it's like you say, it's what you absorb. And so it made totally sense when Danielle was telling me I don't have enough digestive enzymes and just doing what it's supposed to do. And yeah, just taking that supplement just to support the body. It's just been incredible. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's really so good to have all these tools and wisdom from you guys to help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah. So it sounds like we've been doing some work mapping out your root causes. There's the thyroid piece, there's the gut and immune piece. Have you identified any other root causes? There's always multiple.
I think there's still the food. Like dairy is still very much a trigger. egg white, and gluten. I wouldn't say all the time, but there's definitely something. I think it's the quantities of the gluten and maybe the quality of the bread or whatever. But yeah, I think just maybe looking at the liver as such, because we've been doing a lot of the gut work, getting the lining of the guts stronger. So I think in the next 6 months, maybe going a bit deeper into the thyroid, because everything on the blood seemed to be normal. But when I'm like even on my period or even ovulating, I can definitely feel my skin is different, especially now when when I started my period, it was fine. But when I was ovulating, I could feel, oh my word, my skin's just not happy now. And so I think there's more work to do with the hormones, and then obviously also just more on the liver side. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all connected, right? Because if you have an overworked liver, or we don't have enough nutrients because we're not absorbing them to support the liver function, then it gets quote unquote clogged up. So it's great. And that's a perfect trailhead of, okay, noticing that I'm having more symptoms. Okay, let's address that. And there is a really strong connection too with hormone imbalances. If you have high inflammation, high histamine, that can throw out your estrogen. And then there's just the flow-on effects. And it's a bit of a double-edged sword where high estrogen can cause high estrogen. So there's a delicate balance there. So that's when you have the support and you know that all of this is taken care of, it can feel like a lot. Where it's like, okay, I need to address this. But when you have that support, it's like, okay, Danielle's going to deal with that. She's going to tell me what to do. We're going to work together. So you don't have to have that weight that you're carrying around all the time.
I must say also, like, there was one stage where you just feel like you're trying everything and you're so diligent with your diary and you're so with all the supplements and everything, and you try and sleep well. And then there's just a stage where you feel like, is this ever going to pay off? You know what I mean? Like, because you're just not seeing any changes. It's almost like your body's just stagnant. Nothing is changing. You don't see improvement. And so, like, I've had a few vulnerable moments on the program on my calls where I just like cried and I just want to stop everything. I just want to not worry about food diaries and supplements. And Petronella and Danielle was like, it's okay. You can do that. It's really okay if you just want to stop for a while. And then when you pull yourself towards yourself, then you realize, okay, let's just carry on. And yeah, I actually read a book or listened to a book, Compound Effects, from Darren Hardy. And he said in his book, like, the small, smart choices plus time plus consistency equal radical differences. And that was like, oh my goodness, yeah, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing these small things over time and it's consistently. And so I will see changes, radical changes. So that's just been such an amazing book that I've read, and also the Atomic Habits as well. And I'm just so grateful that there's no timeline for me to get better now. And that is already like just such a relief. I can just take it every day as it comes. I don't want to put my life on hold, but I just know my capacity at the moment. And I've also learned to say no, which is a big thing for me, because I always used to just do and just go everywhere. And I've realized it's okay to say no. It's not a bad, the word no is not a bad thing. Especially if you just know you don't have the capacity for things at the moment.
Yeah, I love what you had said about your son's wedding and having this hard timeline. We have so many people that come into the program. It's like, by this date, this has to happen. Seen this time and time and time again. And then there's that stress element. And then you get closer. It's like, oh, I'm not there. Like, when you can let go of that outcome, like, it's good to have goals. I want to get to this point. But when you're too fixated on that, then that stress eczema cycle starts. And when people can let go of that expectation that I have to be this way at this point, it is a complete game changer. I love that you had noticed that and then also brought that up. And also, one of the big things for you was that all the 1%ers that compound. And we hear this like on so many interviews where, like, I was just doing the things and people get defeated, or they're like, oh, this isn't for me. We're just like, just be consistent. Can you continue doing all of your rituals? There's that point, and then you're like, oh, I noticed that shift. Oh, it is the consistency that all adds up.
Yeah. And it does with everything, right? I mean, even when you save money, like, if you just put money aside every month, then eventually you'll see, oh, okay, wow, I've just saved quite a bit of money. You know what I mean? So it goes with everything in life, I suppose. You know what I mean? So it's not just with health, it's with everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But the tough thing is that the world that we live in now is just so quick, right?
Oh, I know.
Order something from Amazon, it's here right away. Take a medication, it's fixed right away. But that's not how the human body works. And when you can look at that timeline of when you've started to have any symptoms or eczema, your body's been really fighting for so long. So just having the compassion that it will take a little bit of time to be able to get those body systems balanced again. And it is really just focusing on those small wins and being consistent and those small wins, which we've noticed just by looking at all the data, speaking to all of our clients, those are the people that have the best results when they've been doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. No, it does pay off for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, any words of wisdom for people, let's say, where you were in 2004 when stopping the steroids and TSW, not knowing any of this? What would you say to anybody else that's in that space?
I think it's just to try get to the root cause. I think the most important thing is we can do everything topically and we can try and, whatever you're going to do is not going to fix it. If you get to the root cause, it's going to change everything. You know what I mean? I think if we just, and I know it's so hard, like, for myself, you want the quick fixes. You want to just take the next tablet and just feel better. But I think if you really want to be set free, it's to get to the root cause. And it's not the easy route. It really isn't. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it is a journey. It's a painful journey some days, but nothing lasts forever. Every season, that's why I said there's 4 seasons and no season lasts forever. Winter doesn't last forever. Summer doesn't last forever. And it's the same with the healing. The healing will come if you just persevere and endure through the hardships. And I think we learn so much of who we are as people. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned who God is, that He's a provider, that He's a protector, that He is a healer, and that He's faithful. And also when you surround yourself with people that can encourage you, uplift you, pray with you, I think that makes a huge difference. You know what I mean? So surround yourself with people that can help you. I mean, the days where I just couldn't go fetch my daughter from school, I had a friend that would fetch her, bring her home. And it's those little things. And I think also to say the need that you're needing. I think when you're just so vulnerable and you say, I need help with food tonight, or I need help with fetching my daughter, or just to take the load off. I think if you're just vulnerable enough to just say things as it is and where you really reach out for help, the way you need help. A lot of people say, okay, well, I'll bring some food tonight and it's pizza, but actually you cannot have pizza. You need a wholesome meal. You know what I mean? Because not everybody knows. Some people help, but not necessarily in the way you need to be helped. And I think if you're very specific with your needs and how you want to be helped, I think you make it a lot easier for other people as well. And so I often will ask my husband or my daughter just to rub my back with cream because I can do it myself. But obviously there's some places where I miss it. But it's just almost comforting for me knowing someone else is just rubbing my back and then, or just a little tickle on the back or tickle on the feet or wherever. It's just comforting. So my family knows already what my go-to places where I just like them to just feel. And even, I think you mentioned even in one of your recordings, you said just a hug, just hugging someone and just cuddling with someone like your spouse or your child or whatever. I think this so beautiful. It sounds so simple, but there's definitely something that happens. That connection, the touch. Yeah, it's those little moments that actually just makes it life easier. I know some days when people do hug me, my skin feels like it's going to tear on my back because it's so dry. Or it's just those little things that I just, or you put clothes on and the clothes actually just aggravate, like scratches against the skin, like jeans, or even sometimes when I drive, my feet are so dry that when I push the pedal of the brake or the accelerator, I can feel the skin is tight. Like you just feel every part of your body. But this is not going to last forever. You know what I mean? If you're really trying to find the root cause and work on the small things, you're going to see a difference.
And we're chatting about this today. We had our team meeting and I was going through like the elements of the program and we're looking at the nervous system and why it is so effective. And we were looking at the polyvagal diagram of the nervous system. So you have your fight, flight, freeze. We talk about that with your different nervous system responses. And what regulates you is your social and human connection. So when you say like a 30-second hug takes you from being anxious, overwhelmed, stressed, or even if it's like freeze, can't do anything, it regulates your system and it gets your prefrontal cortex back online. Like it's the best medicine. And I love that you had named numerous times how important your family is, your friends, and just having that support, which is so great that you have that. And it makes such a big difference to healing. And that's also like part of the program. And I know that you come to the calls and you're very involved and engaged. That's another aspect of like when people get better results is when they are communicating with your coach, saying, I'm having a hard time. Like you said, like there's challenging times. Like this is really hard. I can't do it anymore. You can have those overwhelmed parts and it's okay to relax. Like you don't have to do everything and just giving yourself permission, saying, no, I can't do this. Like that's a complete game changer. And it is just practicing new ways. And then you carry that into normal life too. So you can prioritize yourself and your health when you need to.
I was just reminded now when you're talking about the nervous system. So I went on my first breathwork session and oh my goodness, my whole body just tingled. It's almost like my whole nervous system came alive. And I was like, oh my word, I've never felt this before. What is this? So I just started watching the recordings and it was amazing to see after a while how my body just 2 deep breaths and straight away my body's so much more calm. It doesn't tingle as much as what it used to in the beginning. So it's almost like my nervous system has come alive again. It's like it was almost, I don't want to say dead, but it was just not happening. You know what I mean? It almost wasn't functioning well. You know what I mean? And now it's like, as soon as I do the breathing sessions, it's like my whole body just like, okay, cool. I'm safe. I can do this. You know what I mean? It just like completely relaxes. I sleep a lot better. Even with the red light therapy, I tend to do that at night. It just calms me down. It was so funny on one of the mindset calls, Mandy and I, we just had an open call and there was no specific topic for the day. And one of the ladies mentioned that she's doing the red light therapy. And yeah, we're all Googling on the red lights and just trying to find whatever's going to work. And so I just ordered one online and it literally came the next day. And I've just been using it ever since. And it's got a timer and everything. So 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And it's just made such a difference. Just all these things that I've never been exposed to that is really supporting me now. And I'm just so grateful for that. You know what I mean? It's just really so liberating knowing there are these tools to use to make life easier and to make the journey just not so painful and not so, I don't even know what the word is, but just to make life easier. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that you named that because the best part about the program is hopping on the calls and being able to get tips and tricks from other people and hearing other people's experience and what works for them. One of the girls said, oh, it's my eczema emergency toolkit. So it's just about getting tools to help support you when you need. Okay, what is my body saying? Okay, exactly like you said, had a flare up in the daytime, did the breath work, did my red light, and it came down. So it's just collecting those different tools. And breath work, that's number one way to regulate your autonomic nervous system, to get you from a fight and flight, to get into a rest and digest, and to go from high and low. And the more that you do it, it's a muscle, the easier that you can kick yourself into more of a regulated state. And Brianne just holds such a beautiful space. All right. So last question for the people that are just getting started in the program. What would be some words of wisdom for them? And then what would you say, I mean, you're still in your journey, but what would you say to focus on at the beginning that was helpful for you?
I think for me personally, I just wanted to get better for my son's wedding. But I think if you set too many goals for yourselves, like I think a goal in itself is just to get up in the morning. I think a goal in itself is just to make yourself breakfast. You know what I mean? I think the goal setting shouldn't be something like, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Because I wasn't there. I couldn't even answer that question on my goal sheet. I was like, I just need to get better tomorrow. I just want to see tomorrow and the next day. So I couldn't even answer those questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time or whatever? But I think the thing is just take one day at a time. I know it's such a cliche, you cannot rush this journey. And and you just don't know how you're going to feel tomorrow. Take one day at a time. And if it's really a day where you just don't feel like doing anything, then don't do anything. It's okay to have those days. But on days where you feel you've got a capacity for more, then do more. Everyone's journey is also so different. Some people's bodies respond very well to certain things, and something just doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? I think it's to listen to your body, to know your body, and don't rush the journey. It's just not going to happen. It's just unnecessary pressure, I think, if you've got this timeline. So just put that aside and just really just journey every day and connect with the program. For me, I just prefer one-on-one connection. Like I said, with the calls, I'll go back on the recordings. But I think it's just that consistent pattern, like you guys always say, like showing up for yourself. And I think it is a journey where if you've been out there doing so much like active sports or whatever the case may be, and at this time you can't do that now, I think that's sometimes also a mental thing, because that's what I've been struggling with. Is like, this is what I used to be able to do. And we used to go camping. We used to go to like islands and just sleep on the beach and stuff like that. And my husband's like, just come with me. And I'm like, I just can't do this now. You know what I mean? Just don't ask me to do this now. And I think that's been my challenge, just mentally, is what I used to be able to do and what I can't do now. But to just overcome that, it will come one day. I will be able to do that. I just need to give myself time. But I'm just glad that I'm okay to say no, instead of putting myself in a situation where I know it's going to be stressful. I know it's going to be overwhelming, and it's just going to set me back again. You know what I mean? And I think that's the key for me personally, is to just, it's okay to say no. It's okay to have those low days, but not to stay there, right? I think that's the key, is not to stay there, not to self-pity too long and to woe is me kind of thing. And that's why I say to have friends. And I mean, I'm just so grateful for my husband that is so supportive. I know not everyone has the privilege of that, but I really just so thankful. And I just see it as a privilege to have such an amazing husband and family and friends to support and uplift and encourage. So then it's just key. Surround yourself, find those people that can do that for you. And if you can't find it in your community, then stay on the program, because you guys do such a good job of that. So yeah, that's just my take on someone in the beginning of the program. It's not going to be easy. That's the thing. And if you put that timeline of getting there, it's almost like you're setting yourself up for failure, because it might not happen. And then you're so disappointed in yourself and in everything else. And it's so unnecessary. So just take one day at a time and just learn from the flare-ups and just learn from the journey itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are beautiful words. Take it one day at a time. It's a journey, and just be consistent. Surround yourself with people that understand you, that you can connect with. Like we're saying, that's such a big part of healing. So thank you, Marjorie, so much. So many beautiful words of wisdom. Thanks for sharing your journey. I know you're still on it. I love what you had just focused on. It's not just about this one outcome. We're always going to have eczema. You can't cure it, but it's about being able to manage the flare-ups and being able to prevent them. So when you can feel a flare-up coming on, what are my tools to prevent it? Okay, I might have been pushing myself. Maybe I need to dial in my nutrition. Maybe I need to focus on my sleep, on my stress, do some breath work, having all those tools. And then also just having compassion for yourself and not being too hard on yourself. So thank you so much for your time and being here today.
Thank you, Alicia.